Hello, welcome to Property Development Institute. My name's Steve Chandler and I'm a third generation Australian property developer. Well, I'd like to thank you again for all the messages from the previous video. I'm absolutely humbled by what you've been saying, so thank you very, very much. In this video, I just wanted to explain to you again the 5 fundamentals of property development. It's really important that you know and understand what those fundamentals are. Remember the questions that I talked about in my previous videos, the 2 key things that people always say, and that is, how can I be a property developer when I don't know how? And also, how can I be a property developer when I don't have any money? Well, in my last video, I did mention the richest man that I know, who's a billionaire property developer in Australia, who does a lot of development without any money. So he does that through joint ventures and through development agreements, which is all part of one of the fundamentals that we talk about in Property Development Pentagon, the program that I've put together. So it's interesting to know that people were surprised that you could actually make a lot of money without owning the actual property that you're going to develop. Well, if you remember my story, when I was young, I too had no idea how to be a property developer. My father was a property developer, his father was a property developer, and me, I've just finished school. In fact, I dropped out of school. So as a high school dropout, I started a carpentry trade. I built a career in the building industry, but as I started to work, I found out something really interesting, and that was I was never going to be wealthy simply working for someone. So what did I do? The first project that I ever did was I bought an apartment. I renovated it, and then just over a year later, I sold it. I made more than 30% profit in doing that one transaction. I more than doubled my income that year by doing one project. Absolutely amazing. No, it didn't take me a year to do that renovation. It should only take you a matter of weeks. But I owned that property for just over a year. So it was tenanted the rest of the time. And then a short period in time when I renovated before I sold. So then what did I do? A house, 50%. I did another house, then another, then another, then another. I've made millions of dollars out of buying, renovating and selling houses. So anyone can make a career just doing that, buy, renovate and sell homes. But property development does go beyond that. My career changed. I moved out of building and into property development. I worked for some of the largest property developers in Australia, creating major profits for them, multi-million-dollar profits. Absolutely amazing how much money can actually be made out of property development in those large-scale property projects. So truly, truly amazing. After working for the large property development companies, I then started my own company, and at the same time I started a project, a much larger property development project than I'd done before, and GFC. Ouch! You can imagine what happened. The GFC taught me so many things about how not to do a property development project. So I swore I'd never let anything like that ever happen to anyone. I went and wrote a couple of books. I started lecturing at university, and then I started delivering property development training throughout Australia for our property industry's peak body. And from that, and through all the people that I've spoken to at university and in these courses and the feedback from people who've read my books, is I decided I needed to do more. I needed to help people in a much bigger way. And in doing so, I use the time that I've had to create the property development Pentagon program. So the 5 fundamentals that I talk about in the Pentagon program are, I'll just write them on the board. Number 1, acquisition. Without a property development site, you don't have a property development project. Number 2, feasibility. Is your property development project viable? Number 3, authorities. If you don't get an approval for your property development project, you don't have a property development project. Number 4, revenue. If you don't have enough revenue, you're not going to make a profit. And with this particular fundamental, we look at all the different ways of maximising the revenue that you get from your property development project. And number 5, delivery. This is delivery of the built form. It's the creation of the product that you're going to sell to people to obtain your revenue. So those are the 5 fundamentals that we look at in the Property Development Pentagon program. Not long ago, a friend of mine who's an electrical engineer came to me and said, I want to do a small property development project. I want to develop 4 units. So I gave him a fair bit of advice and off he went. Not long after that, his wife came to me and asked me a number of other questions, and I too explained to her about these fundamentals of property development. As a result, my friend and his wife developed 4 apartments. They sold 3 and they've kept 1. That 1 apartment has effectively been given to them for free because the other 3 apartments paid for all of the costs associated with their development, and they were left with the profit, which is the 4th apartment. Now, for the lifetime of their ownership of that property, they are going to have rent coming out of that property for them to utilise. That is one way of benefiting from property development. They could well have sold that property, realised that financial profit, and used it potentially for another project. So property development can be done by anyone, anywhere. So looking back on what I've been asked by people continually over the years, the very first question is, how can I do a property development project when I don't have enough money? Well, Property Development Pentagon, that acquisition fundamental, deals with that very question. The next question I get is, how can I do a property development project when I don't know how? Well, the Property Development Pentagon deals with that question by simply taking people through the 5 fundamentals and teaching you how to be a property developer. Another question that I'm asked is, how can I become a property developer if I can't find someone who's got money? My answer to that is that in the acquisition fundamental of Property Development Pentagon, we talk to you about joint ventures and development agreements whereby you don't necessarily have to have the cash to become a property developer. People regularly ask me, will I help? And my answer to them is always yes. I help people through the training programs I deliver, through my books, and in the near future, in association with the Property Development Pentagon program, I'll be releasing some other programs to help people with their property development projects. So moving forward, anyone who says, I can't afford to do training, well, really, if you can't afford to do training, you can't afford to do a property development project, because without training, you won't be able to undertake a project. Unfortunately, you won't know how to be a property developer. The Property Development Pentagon program is here to help you understand all 5 of the fundamentals of property development, and as a result, you can be a property developer. In the next couple of days, I'm going to send you another email inviting you to join me for the Property Development Pentagon program to learn all of the things you need to know about the 5 fundamentals of property development: acquisition, feasibility, authorities, revenue, and delivery. I'll very much look forward to working with you to help you be a property developer. Steve Chandler, thank you for joining us here at Property Development Institute.